When local growers put great food on Tennessee tables, that's living green. Tonight on Live Green Tennessee, we'll show you a historic natural attraction located several feet underground near Chattanooga. We then travel to Short Mountain, where we discover the rich heritage of moonshining, and finally we'll visit one of Knoxville's co-ops that specialize in offering hard-to-find natural and organic foods. All this and more coming up next on Live Green Tennessee.
This program is brought to you in part by...
Behind every Pick Tennessee Products logo is a Tennessee farmer who brings you fresh, local food grown with the kind of pride that gets handed down through generations. From now through fall, you can find Tennessee fruits and vegetables on farms and at farmers markets near you. Find your Tennessee farmers at picktnproducts.org.
What makes our state unique? Find out on the new Tennessee Channel, a statewide initiative by your public television stations. Each program is created in Tennessee, about Tennessee, and broadcast in Tennessee.
The Tennessee Channel, Saturdays 6 to 10 p.m. Eastern and Sundays 2 to 6 p.m. Eastern, right here on your public television station.
Funding for this program was provided in part by the United States Department of Agriculture.
Hello, I'm Melinda Kiefer, and I'm proud to bring you stories from across our great state on Live Green Tennessee. As America's deepest commercial cave and most visited underground waterfall, Ruby Falls has been a staple in Chattanooga tourism since its opening in 1929. But in 2007, the historic natural attraction began its Different Shades of Green program. The initiative has resulted in some pretty significant changes and is now providing more sustainable, cost-effective, and educational experience for Ruby Falls customers from all around the world. WTCI's Emily Compton brings us this story.
Welcome to Ruby Falls. We're located in Chattanooga, Tennessee, on the side of Lookout Mountain and inside of Lookout Mountain for our cavern. Ruby Falls is a naturally wonderful attraction that you will go 240 feet down an elevator shaft into a 2,500 foot long cave that at the end of the cave is a 145 foot waterfall, which will be 1,100 feet underground. And I like to tell people in Chattanooga, if you want to find a natural attraction or an attraction anywhere in the world like this, there's only one place to go, and that's here at Ruby Falls. Ruby Falls, beginning in its existence in 1929, excavated all the stone from the elevator shaft and the walkways and built our Irish castle. So in 1929, it was probably one of the largest repurposing or recycling projects that I know of. So we've had a history of being an environmental company, and we have tried to keep the cavern as is over this 80 plus years. Over the last 5 years, we've realized that we cannot rebuild Ruby Falls or reinvent Ruby Falls. It was created by nature and it's a natural wonder. So we must conserve it as we go forward and create environmental standards in our operational techniques. So we created a staff program of about 10 key managers, and they all came up with 10 ideas to make us more environmentally friendly.
So what was and is unique about the Ruby Falls experience is the way the whole team got involved. We probably could have come up with a list of things that Ruby Falls should do. Some of them are pretty normal, like recycling more, energy reduction more, waste reduction, water reduction. But we knew, and Hugh knew, that he didn't know everything that needed to be done. So the way the employees, the associates got involved is a unique and a very satisfying experience.
Early on, we identified as the possibility of creating renewable energy as a key component in what we wanted to do. We researched and came up with the idea of putting in 90 solar panels on these roof areas, which had really collected leaves and cups and brochures and different things that people would discard. And now they're operational parts of our business in creating about 8 to 10 weeks of offsets of the electricity that we use in the cave. And now we have offset hundreds of thousands of kilowatt hours that we have sold back into the grid and provided green energy for EPB to provide to other users. We installed a new LED light system to light up the falls for our customers. The exciting part about that is we reduced our consumption of electricity in that part from about 20,000 watts to about 1,150 watts with a lighting system that has 50,000 light hours versus globes that had about 800 light hours. We also had approximately 500 incandescent bulbs throughout the cave that had about 800 light hours, and we replaced them with LED and CFL light bulbs throughout, which gave us about 8,000 light hours and reduced our wattage from 90 watts to about 20 watts per bulb, reducing our usage within the cave around 50%. We sought out several different companies to come in and audit what we were doing from an environmental point of view. We decided to go forward with Green Globe because of their expertise in the tourism and travel industry. The neat part about this is they challenge us not just in the electricity that we use, the water that we use, but they challenge us to encourage our employees to carpool. They challenge us to use alternative fuel vehicles, different ways of keeping our fountains clean outside. And it's been not only an environmental decision, but an economic decision as we were able to operate with much less cost going forward. One of the things that's extremely important to our customer is what we do with our waste materials. If we sell them a plastic Coke bottle, they will want to know where they can recycle that bottle when they're finished with it. So we had to come up with ways to recycle. Now we recycle just about everything that's recyclable. And we recycle them through the Orange Grove Center here in town, which enables them to have more volume to use in their program as well. We are set on a very historic site, and there are trails and pathways that were used going back to the Civil War and even before then that cross our property. We have partnered with several people. One is the National Park Service and the Lookout Mountain Conservancy to save the land that is around our property. And it's fun to watch people enjoy the beauty of Lookout Mountain and knowing that it will remain the same for a very, very long time.
Everywhere I go, people talk about Chattanooga as being the role model, and we are. Those of us who live in Chattanooga probably don't fully understand what a magnificent city we have with the things that are going on the riverfront, with the things that are going with Coolidge Park, with all the wonderful things that have happened in the city in the last few years. There are a lot of folks and a lot of organizations in Chattanooga that are responsible for this wonderful move towards sustainability. Ruby Falls is certainly in the forefront of the things that have been done and in their initiatives that they've done. Ruby Falls epitomizes the Chattanooga spirit.
In recent years, the art of moonshining has had a revival. Short Mountain Distillery is Tennessee's 6th distillery, making authentic, small batch Tennessee moonshine, bourbon, and Tennessee whiskey from organic corn that is grown and stone milled on the 300-acre Little Short Mountain farm nestled in Cannon County. WCTE's Desiree Duncan traveled to Short Mountain to see how this locally owned and family-funded distillery has strived to create jobs, help keep local farmers in business, generate revenue that will stay in the county, and bring another unique Tennessee brand to America and the world.
Moonshine is basically America's vodka. In Russia they have vodka, in Mexico they have tequila, and here in Tennessee we have moonshine.
Short Mountain Distillery is a special place to all of us, of course, because we're involved in it on a day-to-day basis. But what I try to tell our visitors when they come out is that we're not just about the booze here. This is, I mean, that pays the bills, of course, but this is really more about history. This is about heritage. This is about providing an opportunity for families that have lived here for generations to be able to really talk about things that their ancestors did and what even they have done in the past, which is making the moonshine to make a living.
Well, if you look around you, you know there's not very many places you could grow a lot of crops and things. So corn was the basic crop that everybody grew, and when they get more corn than they could use, they couldn't store it all, so they could turn it into a liquid, and they could store the liquid and they could sell it throughout the rest of the year. But moonshine actually came across when the settlers came here. If you stop and think, they had no alcohol, they had no pain reliever, they had no cough medicine. So just about every country family had a still. And it wasn't for Uncle Joe to drink out behind the barn to get drunk on. It was for medicinal purposes and other things that the whole family could use.
I have to tell people that we are, I mean, I'm saying this from the bottom of my heart, we are making the best moonshine in the entire country. Cannon County has a history of making the best moonshine ever, and we are continuing that tradition, and we're not cutting any corners about it. So I'm standing behind my product, and I hope everyone wants to come up here and try it for themselves because it's a great product.
The area has always been known for making good quality moonshine. That has to do with a couple of different factors. I think one of the big things is that we have the natural resources here, which are very conducive to making good quality Tennessee moonshine. That being the first being the spring water that we have, another being the fact that we have what I like to refer to as marginal farmland, enough to grow a crop, not to get rich off of, but enough to grow enough of a crop to feed your stock and to be able to make this added value product that we're making here. It also has to do with a lot of the types of people that were coming here then. This was really rough country, and it took somebody who was pretty strong-willed, pretty hard-working and independent to be able to come here and make a living. And that's really what all these families around here that are known for the moonshining, they were just trying to make a living. They were trying to feed their families. This was not a get-rich-quick scheme by any chance at all. It was really a lot of hard work, and it was something that they took pride in, that they did produce a good product. The other was that they needed places to hide and places to where they wouldn't be caught by the sheriffs or the revenuers. Well, you can look around where we are right now, and there's several places that you could find to hide out and never get caught.
The revenuer that tried to catch us for 25 years came up, and we had a nice visit, and he turned out not to be as bad a guy as I thought he was. So.
I'd been organic farming all my life. People use the term organic now. The way I've always thought of it is that's just the natural way of farming. It's the old-timey way, really. Up until about 30 or 40 years ago, folks didn't have all these chemicals and pesticides that they could use. My grandfather taught me to farm the way that I'm farming now and called that other stuff. He said, that's taking a shortcut. He said, I want you to always do it right.
One of the things we try and do here is keep the resources that we're harvesting from the farm back into the farm. So we make mash, with the corn that we grow here, and we distill that and turn that into alcohol. And then we take that spent mash and we feed it back to the animals. And They, of course, give us manure, which we compost. We turn that into a compost tea. We spray that back on the corn, and we start the cycle all over again.
Farming and distilleries have always had a pretty close relationship. The farming that goes on here is mainly to grow the grains that we need in order to produce the moonshine. The green process is something that's really been important to us from the beginning here. One of the ways that we use that is we have about 50 head of cattle and about 80 head of goats. Those, of course, help us with our fertilization process. We can use a dried form of compost from the manure from the animals. We also have a special compost tea that we fix up and can spray on the fields. Once we have a crop in, we can go in and rejuvenate those fields. We use that to put living microbes back into the soil. Those microbes then go into your soil and eat what you don't want to be there and produce what you do want. That's going to be conducive to a good growing process, as well as helping us maintain the land and not use up all its resources without coming back. Of course, the cattle and the goats do their part here on the farm. They have their work to do. So they'll fertilize for us. We then grow our crop, we bring it in, we produce our product with it. Now, when we're done with this process, what we've got left over is a lot of spent grains, spent mash, even liquid beer that's pumped off of the batches once they're done with them. So what we do with that is we load it back up onto a trailer. We've got big tanks on it. We'll take it right back out to the field, and we have special steel troughs out there. We pour all that back out into those troughs, and the cows and the goats come a-running.
We get some great meat on this farm from our cattle, goats, sheep. I eat almost all my meat from animals that are raised on this farm, and it's just a great side product, you know, besides having great moonshine.
From the very beginning, it's been important to us that the community understands what we're doing and that they support us and that we in turn support them. This is a unique opportunity for us because we can honestly say to Cannon Countyans who voted for us that without them, we wouldn't be here. And that's an unusual thing to be able to actually say and mean, but we do. And we have had continuous support from everyone in the county, from our neighbors to local officials to law enforcement. Everyone has been there and been very supportive of us. And we just hope that we can make that worth their while and pay them back as the years unfold.
More and more these days, consumers are turning to natural and organic foods as part of a healthy diet. Three Rivers Market is a food cooperative located just outside of downtown Knoxville that offers just that. In this story, East Tennessee PBS's Chris Smith visits the co-op that began over 30 years ago in its original location as a buying club that was dedicated to offering harder-to-find natural and organic foods. Over time, Three Rivers Market has grown and now plays a vital role in strengthening the local food chain by continuing to offer to the public, as well as its members, access to high-quality, sustainable items.
Strong local independent businesses are the backbone of any economy.
Three Rivers Market is a cooperative grocery store. It's been in business for about 30 years. Basically, we operate like a normal grocery store. We're open to the public, but we're here to serve the interest of our members, our owners, as we call them.
Well, one of the main things about a cooperative business is the control that it gives to a community in direct access to goods and services. In this case, it's natural and organic foods which we provide. When people become a member, they can influence directly in a much more powerful way the types of products that we're going to carry and the type of business we're going to be, much more powerfully than they can affect via just their sales dollar at a conventional grocery store.
We really feel like we've helped prime the pump, so to speak, as far as local food infrastructure, and it's something that we continue to want to build on and be a stable market for new producers that can help grow our East Tennessee economy and help produce foods that are going to be healthy for the current generation and then all the kids to come.
We've been dealing with local farmers and producers since we started as a storefront, but it's a range of fresh produce, meat products, and even packaged goods or value-added goods like coffees that are roasted here locally right in Knoxville that we've offered for a long time and continue to offer now. And those are wonderful things because when you have every link in the value chain being local, then you're keeping more and more of those dollars in your local economy.
It's something that existed until about 50 years ago, but at the present time, there's not really much infrastructure for a local food movement, and so we kind of see ourselves as being a small piece of rebuilding that infrastructure and offering farmers who care about this area and want to do things the right way an opportunity to showcase what they have and a place where they can take things, because there's not always going to be a farmer's market, and we're here 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
When you have a strong local economy, you have dollars that are circulating locally, and they stay that way because, I mentioned the links of the value chain earlier. When you have most of those links staying local, then you can kind of buffer yourself against the mercurial nature of national and international economic upturns and downturns a little bit.
People use the term sustainable, and really all that means to us is we want to be here for future generations to continue to grow great food.
Probably one of the huge perks of my job, one of the things, there's always something at a job, if you've got a good job, where you say, I can't believe they're paying me for this. And mine is that I get to talk to farmers, and we go out and do on-site inspections for all of our local protein farmers. Ourselves, I go out and do the audit, so I get to go out and see the farm sites and talk to the farmers personally one-on-one. And that's been hugely meaningful for me, and I think for Three Rivers Market in general.
No matter what we sell, we want to assure people that it's a high quality, sustainable, healthy item that they would expect to find here in Three Rivers Market.
There's nothing more inspiring. I come from, as far as I can figure, a 10th generation Tennessean, and you will not find anybody that cares more about this land and its upkeep and stewardship than people who are farming this land, and grass-fed beef farmers and people who are raising hogs on pasture. The actual value of the land and how healthy the land is has a direct effect on their bottom line. And so it's really, really inspiring for me to speak to other people and contact people that are that involved with the land and care that much about East Tennessee. That's something that people come and look to us for. They want traceability, and they want to know where the products they're getting are coming from and know the story behind them and know the people that are working to raise them. And that's something that we're in a fortunate position to provide.
And we just want to let folks know where we're buying it from, so they're just aware of where their food's coming from, and in addition to how it's produced. That's just at the heart of our mission, is to just buy locally and continue to try to expand the amount that's grown here in our region.
We have a lot of things going on. Of course, we have 2 major bike rack locations right up front and also toward the back, where a lot of our employees who commute to work on bike lock their bicycles up. We also have 2 electric vehicle charging stations out front. Those were put in within the last several months. We do offer the space to tie up dogs for people who are out walking to the co-op with their dog. Those are some features that are green. There are a lot of structural features of the construction itself. Also, like the SIPS panels that we have way up high, which are super efficient. Another thing is just our own practices of waste reduction, from the unsaleable food products that get donated to Second Harvest and other food bank operators, and food that's not edible is composted and donated to local farms, and has been for a long time. So our motto, of course, is to get food waste down to zero, and we use all of those venues to make that happen.
In a lot of ways, and I think a lot of people are starting to agree, that the psychic and the social well-being of the community are dependent on the physical well-being of the community. And the more we're able to provide healthy options and healthy choices for people, the healthier our community is going to be for a whole.
We'd like to be a vital part of strengthening the local food chain, which involves everything not only from production and cultivation, but processing and distribution.
My hopes for the future are to continue doing what we're doing and just grow it and be able to support more farmers and give more support to the farmers that we're already working with locally.
And we want people to know that anybody can come in and find some things that are going to be tasty and affordable and healthy.
As far as growth goes, we think the sky is sort of the limit, and we want to be able to expand the benefits and the opportunities of membership into every community that wants to engage in that with us. The entire purpose of Three Rivers Market is to serve our members and our community.
Thank Thanks for joining us for another episode of Live Green Tennessee, where we take you all across the state into the farms and businesses of those who are making the move to eating fresh, living sustainably, and helping us all be more organic in our thinking and the way we live our lives as Tennesseans. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on Live Green Tennessee.
If you would like more information about Live Green Tennessee, please visit our website at livegreentv.org, where you can find everything from healthy recipes to past episodes and more. This program is brought to you in part by...
Behind every Pick Tennessee Products logo is a Tennessee farmer who brings you fresh, local food grown with the kind of pride that gets handed down through generations. From now through fall, you can find Tennessee fruits and vegetables on farms and at farmers markets near you. Find your Tennessee farmers at picktnproducts.org.
What makes our state unique? Find out on the new Tennessee Channel, a statewide initiative by your public television stations. Each program is created in Tennessee, about Tennessee, and broadcast in Tennessee.
The Tennessee Channel, Saturdays 6 to 10 p.m. Eastern and Sundays 2 to 6 p.m. Eastern, right here on your public television station.
Funding for this program is provided in part by the United States Department of Agriculture, providing leadership on food, agriculture, natural resources, and related issues based on sound public policy and efficient management.